PJNET Live, Part 2. It is a 9:30 or so on the Eastern Coast, and it is time for Dell Didway, who appears at this time each Tuesday night. We have a bumper rolling, we have a background, we have Dell and his special guest in the PJNET studio. We will switch there in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to PJNET Live, and yes, it is still football season, and we have transported the Eagles' Nest to some stadium somewhere in the country. I think that would be San Francisco. I don't know. I don't care. But Dell, we could have just as well used that. Oh, whoa!
Hey.
Dell is accompanied by his producer, Sophie. Sophie, I'm glad you could join us tonight. Last time you were here, you had scored 4 points in a basketball game. Have you played since then?
Yeah.
Did you do any good?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
How'd you do? What'd you do?
6. I made 6.
6 points.
6 points.
Yeah. So I played 3 quarters, too.
Mm-hmm.
Only played 3 quarters, scored 6 points.
Show them what's going on there. She got her nails done tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Sophie, you can't do my nail. Who did your nails, honey?
My mom.
Your mom did them. Well, moms know best. They do. Did she do her did the toenails get done too, or just the fingernails?
Oh,
No.
Just the fingers.
Just fingernails.
Uh-oh. Just fingers. So
just fingernails.
Big day tomorrow. Don't get school.
Sophie, do you actually like school?
Not that much.
Not that much. Well, you have to go to school to play basketball. You like it then?
No.
Nah.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Oh,
I like
so
basketball the most.
okay. Well, if you're smart, you can play basketball. If you're not, you can't.
Don't bite.
Bye.
Show me
Sophie.
one more time.
There you go.
All
Bless
right.
your heart. Sophie, we love you, sweetie.
Good night. Gonna start charging her.
Well, folks, we're out of time. Sorry that. Folks, it can only go downhill from here. Okay,
That's
so.
funny. Yeah, really. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Dell. Well, Dell, I hadn't spoken to you in a week, and
I know.
It wasn't that long ago. You were talking about your upcoming book and maybe Tim Tebow or something along those lines, and then I see some bozo on social media saying come to PJNet, and next thing you know, I'm reading your blog, and it's all about a night to shine. And as I read it, I thought about Jesus washing the feet of his disciples.
Yeah, it's an awesome event. You know, we were up at the Night to Shine last year, and it's coming up on February the 7th. And so we did a little preview of it, obviously, to try to get some more interest. They still need some more volunteers, and it's amazing because that organization, the Christ Temple Church up in Huntington, West Virginia, it's a beautiful church. It's a huge church, but they will host about 450 volunteers that one night, and it's just a big moving machine, and all the parts seem to come into place, and then they'll host about 250 guests that night will be coming in to participate in that prom event. And I was impressed last year how it just all came off without a hitch or no issues. There were no stones left unturned. It was a wonderful event. We went to their meeting the other night, one of the planning meetings we had to attend. And, they were talking about all the food they're going to have donated and what to pick up, who's picking up what. And it's an amazing feat that's all, goes into one night. And it's, it takes months and months and months to plan. So it's a great event. So
yeah. She didn't go to bed, did she?
She's not going to bed. No. So anyway, she brought me in something. So it was just a great event, and that was a premise that I got to talk to Tim Tebow personally one on one. I was the only one at that game allowed to talk to him one on one, and all the other media hated me. I mean, literally, they didn't like me at all because I was the only one that got to talk to Tim Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
And but I sent in a request. Hey, I want to talk to him about Night to Shine. And I remember talking to the gentleman helping making the decision. I showed him a picture of us. I said, here we were at his event last year, and we'd like to talk to him a little bit about the event. And he was coming down the tunnel, and I heard him say, well, this guy Dale, he gave 3 hours of his night to my organization. I can give him 5 minutes. And that's just the mentality, and that's giving back. So how big a demand he is, he was able to grant me a few minutes, and that's what we talked about was his night to shine, and the motivation behind it, and the inspiration behind it. And I revealed that in the blog about how he was able to come up with the idea, and how it started out the first year they had 400 some churches, and in this year they're anticipating well over 1,000. So it's just it's incredible, all the churches that come together for one night, the same night, all over the country. So it's just phenomenal.
Well, Dale, the engineer in me is fascinated by the complexity. As you mentioned, there are so many moving parts. Now think about this. Say you have an idea and you want to propagate that idea across 400 churches. How do you maintain quality control? What you've really got there is about 399 unguided missiles.
Mm-hmm.
How do they maintain, I'm going to say quality control, but I should say uniformity throughout 400 churches?
I don't know that. They send out directions, and I talked to Annalise, who's over the one up in Huntington. Cute little, meek little girl that weighs maybe 90 pounds. And she's giving out all these orders, man, and everybody's listening to her. You do this at this time and this time and this time, and it gets pulled off. I mean, of all this, and they not only provide that night for those guests, those special need guests and their dates, but they also give a respite to the parents. There's this room that the parents can go to.
Parents lounge.
Just get away and have this, and I say a lavish meal. I mean, Olive Garden will bring in a full course meal for these parents and donate it, and Texas Roadhouse will bring in food, and all these people are bringing in to make these parents. They have massage tables for the parents to get a massage, and they have everything you can think of. They have it there that night. I mean, when the guests come in, if they don't have a dress, they have their pick of dresses. I mean, there's a sea of these formal gowns. And there's all these tuxedos that the gentlemen or young men or some older men can try on, and there's hair stations all in barbers and people getting their hair cut, and then they come to my station where I shine your shoes and make their shoes look good. So it all comes together. It doesn't last that long, 3 or 4 hours, and all the limos are pulling up, and people donate all this stuff. They donate all these things because of Tim's vision a few years ago.
I can tell you, not only is it a production in terms of that, but again, let me go back to, suppose that you're Tim Tebow and the Tim Tebow Foundation. Whatever people think about that event that night at that church, if something goes wrong, that's what they're going to think about the Tim Tebow Foundation. So it's miraculous, his leadership in doing this.
Oh yeah, and he has a board of directors that oversees it, and he had a large group of people that reports in and reports out, and then there's all the commotion. And I'm trying to find my blog here about how many churches there were. In 2019, there were 655 churches. They're anticipating close to 1,000 churches this year, all across the country. And well over 100,000 guests total, and well over 600,000 volunteers. I mean, it's just an incredible night that and when they get done, Annalise says they'll take a couple of weeks and they'll start planning for next year, and they'll start getting things in line for next year.
And Tim just got married.
Yeah, yeah, poor guy. Miss Mary, Miss Universe, So tough guy. So and there's always rumblings where he will appear at a couple of those events that night, and nobody will know until that day. Um, there's a lot. They will reach out to a few of the locations and ask about logistics and in preparation that if Tim, because last year I was trying to get to him to do a piece for Focus on the Family, then I ended up getting with him. But Annalise, the gal, she said, I will find out if he's coming about 3:00. And the event starts, 6. I'll find out then. And she said that's when everybody finds out because everybody's wanting him to show. And, the chances of flying to Huntington, West Virginia, not good, but you never know. You never did. I did, for what it's worth. I gave my little 2 cents. And when I was talking to him up in Columbus, Ohio, I said, hey, our event's in Huntington, West Virginia. You need to come to that. And of course, he's sure, okay. But you never know. And because nobody knows. I know you're going to do recon down in Tallahassee, I think, and wait outside in the bushes and see if he shows up, I think, aren't you?
He's coming to see me. I'm not going to see him.
Yeah. Oh, man. I've never seen anything like it. But, people pulled into that stadium up in Columbus, Ohio, at a minor league baseball stadium. And the guy said probably the biggest attendance he'd ever seen in his life. And they weren't there to watch him play baseball.
It could have been raining and they'd all been there.
They've been there.
Yeah.
And it's to hear that message of hope he has. And he does that. And that's what people flock to him for because of his positive attitude. And he gives hope. And whether you believe it or not out in the mainstream media, people like that. People like to hear encouragement. They like to see Tim pray over a kid if he gets hurt in the stands, which he's done a few times. So people are drawn to that because there's a hunger for it.
I keep seeing this phrase, Jesus Prom. Did Tim coin that, or did
no?
he
That was the
hijack it?
event. They didn't hijack it. There were some events similar to what Tim does now called Jesus Prom, and those are great events, but they were on a smaller scale. And Tim wanted to do the Night to Shine. He said, I want to do it all over the country. And he did. He said, I want to do this for every state. I want to do it all over the country. And it's the same concept, sort of, but Tim put it on steroids and really got it moving. I mean, yeah, it's incredible what's done for a lot of folks, that population that he calls, some people that the people don't want to love, or they forget to love these people.
For the least of these.
Yeah, and so that's that night. And, you can see when they come in, I'm no expert on it at all, but just me shining their shoes and looking up at them. And they got this great big grin on their face, or their parents are over there looking and their big smile on their face because, hey, that's the night that they get to really dress up.
Well, and the parents get a brief respite of the hell that they must be going through. Yeah.
Yeah. One boy we met last year was incredible, and it blew me away because he was in his late 20s, and he starts talking to my wife about some things, and his first question, when was your birthday? And she would say, I was born such and such year, such and such day, such and such year. And he said, I don't know, he would just say, that was a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And my wife said, yeah, I was born on a Tuesday. And then he would ask me, what was your birthday? And, well, you were born on Thursday. Yeah, I was born on Thursday. And it was just like that. He knew the days. Even back, we told him when our son was born, what day. Mm-hmm. He was born on a Saturday. Well, yeah, he was born on a Saturday. So you're like, how does that? It was just incredible that this young man, who was a special needs person, knew what day of the year we were born on within seconds. So genius. I
can make a computer do that, but that's a computer.
Yeah.
I know the formula.
Yeah. He would just think for a second, and then he'd tell you.
Yeah.
And it would be right.
Mm-hmm. There is a formula. There is math that will determine. Yes,
yeah, but this young man did it in seconds.
Can do it
in his own
yeah.
mind.
He could
without going to an app.
Yeah. Well, he had a 1 in 7 chance of getting it right just by random guessing.
He was always right. Well, he calculated. But so that we'll go. I'll put on my tuxedo, and I will shine shoes all evening. And I loved it last year. And as Tim said, you feel better. You're going to serve to make these people feel better, but you feel better. And I guess it's a selfish reason. I don't know, but that's what we're going to do. We shined like 60 pairs of shoes last year. Some shoes were really nice. I shined some tennis shoes.
Tennis shoes, yeah. Dust them off a little bit,
But you act like you're doing the whole thing. Had a couple ladies came in with their shoes. You're like, okay, I'll shine your shoes, sure. Sit down there, and I have to be careful not to grab their ankle or anything. But you make them look good, and people taking pictures. And there's the paparazzi that they have delegated to take pictures when they get out of the limo. Get it on the red carpet. You got 50 or 60 people volunteering with cameras, and they're taking pictures like they're celebrities, and they're announcing their names when they come in, and they enter through this. There were some Marines there last year with their swords drawn up, so they walk under the swords. It's cool. It's a cool night. So we're looking forward to it. That's next weekend. It'll be on the 7th of February. So we're looking forward to that.
Dale, it's very inspiring to hear you, and you can feel the excitement in your voice. But then I reflect a little bit and say most of us aren't Tim Tebow. Most of us can't really fathom doing something on such a scale. But your blog touches on the fact that no matter who we are, there are things we can do. Yeah,
there's tons of things you can do. Even just simply smiling at somebody, make them feel special, make them, and don't have a frown on your face. And Tim talked about the time that he really got instilled with it was when he was 15 and picked up this young boy who was in the Philippines, and he was born with his feet backwards, and people looked at him with a curse, and he picked him up and loved him. So that was where that was born. So we can do things like that matter. Being kind words. So there's a lot of things we can do.
A lot of the reason we don't do that is one, we lack courage, but we also, I think, there's a verse in the Bible that God removes the scales from their eyes. I think sometimes we don't have our spiritual radar up as we should. And you see somebody, you come to the stoplight and there's someone there trying to get money, and we won't make eye contact with them. We'll do anything, to avoid that. And we avoid situations, we avoid areas where we might be challenged in that way, because the fact is it makes us uncomfortable. But Jesus spent his life in those kinds of situations.
Yeah, and it's just incredible. So, just to piggyback on that point, little things we can do. Picking up somebody's tab at lunch or breakfast, or buying somebody a cup of coffee, giving them a nice word of encouragement. Those things will go a long way. That's things we can do without even. It shouldn't be an effort. It should not be. You shouldn't be thinking, "Oh, I need to smile at this person," or "I need to say something." Thank you. That's incredible. Those two words have been lost forever. Thank you.
Well, and social media has made it quite easy to just pass around some sincere compliments, and we don't. We like to be complimented, but yet we don't. We'll click the mouse, a like button from time to time, but in the back of our mind, we want to get noticed because they'll see our page, and social media has become a place where everybody wants to be heard, but nobody wants to listen. But yet, so few of us comment on people's posts. Because, see, that takes a little effort.
I do quite a bit. I comment on probably 30 or 40 people. It might be something silly. It might be something, might be something profound. I did one tonight to a lady who posted these beautiful poems on encouragement. I just always hashtag encourage others. And then, I'll post pictures of like fruitcake or chocolate cake or something. But you got to keep it lighthearted sometimes, but always in fact, I taught that last night. I'm teaching a class at Shawnee State University every Monday night, about
You
sports
never
writing.
told us
And
about that. When were we going to find out that you're teaching a class?
oh, I thought I mentioned. I don't know. That's like my ninth ball I'm juggling. But I just started doing that, and every Monday night I teach at Shawnee State University. It's a journalism class, sports journalism, and so that was one of the things we touched on last night is engagement with your Twitter followers. If you're at a ball game, tweeting nonstop about the game, and not just the score, but you're interacting with your followers. You're saying, "Hey, it's 3rd and 9. Well, what would you do?" Or and they'll respond, or or you make some silly comment. You don't ever be derogatory about the referees or call someone play stupid, but because that can get you kicked out. But interact with your readers, interact with your followers, and they'll interact back, and they enjoy it, and they'll follow you on that. So we talked about that last night. So interaction because sports writing has changed from what it was 20 years ago. Now it's immediate. It's interaction with your readers, with your followers. It's instant. They want to know pre-game, during game, post-game. And so we're next week, we're actually going to a game next week. We're taking them to a high school game, and they're going to cover some of it. And they're going to that's their assignment next Monday night. So, but yeah, it's Monday night, 6 to 9. Sorry.
Wow.
Something else to do.
Well, a lot of things happen, and I'll bring it up again, and it's happened right here, kind of. Ben Cooper, did this thing about, may our footprints be lost in the footprints of God, and then JD picked up on it. And next thing you know, it just kind of gets a life of its own. And
it's awesome.
It is so awesome. And those things, God can use those things, and you have to be influential if you're going to impact the culture. And if you're waiting on someone to heap influence upon you, I remember, remember Dallas, that TV series.
The show. Yeah, JR, yeah.
There were so many good moments in that, but one that I remember that was particularly prophetic or influential in my life is, Bobby was a nice guy and he was the president of the company. Well, JR, of course, was doing things behind his back, and Bobby was mad and he went to his dad. And Jock said, and he says, "Well, I'm the president of the company." And old Jock, looked at him and said, "Let me tell you something, son. Power is something that you take. It's not something given to you." And now that's a little rough around the edges, but consider influence on social media. It's up to each of us to take. It's up to each of us to do the work. If you're waiting on someone to follow you and 20,000 more, well, folks, you got to put in the work. But when you do,
you got to give them a reason to follow
results.
You. You got to give them a reason. Again, I try to be inspirational and encouraging, and I'm also lighthearted. I put some serious quotes out there. I'll put some silly quotes out there. Like this one here got a lot of play. Put a picture of John Wayne, he was Rooster Cogburn, and his quote. I love John Wayne quotes. He says, I'm responsible only for what I say, not what you understand." And I love that quote, So, because people get offended with anything. I mean, I'm going to do a post Thursday in our paper that I'll get. I talk about, because we're almost out of time, but I talk about the impeachment and what I think, my opinion, which is right, is all about. The impeachment of the president of the United States is not about Ukraine. It's not about the Mueller investigation. It's not about quid pro quo. It is clearly the only thing it's about is the president has made 2 pro-life appointments on the United States Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is not. She's in ill health. Mm-hmm. They anticipate him doing that. They want him out of there before he has another chance to put another conservative pro-life judge on the Supreme Court. That is the ink. That's what it's about. It's all about power. It's all about the Supreme Court. I don't care what they say. What you're hearing, because they've tried everything else, their whole endpoint is to prevent him from making another Supreme Court appointment. That's what it's about. And because abortion and euthanasia is it's an industry. It's a lucrative. It is the worst form of socialism there is. The liberal socialist Democrats want to tell you when life should start, when it should end, and who's worthy to live. That's their platform. And so the president is the enemy because he's going to appoint another conservative pro-life justice to the United States Supreme Court, which will tip the balance even further for years to come. That's what it's about.
And then he has the we're way over on time. I don't care.
I know.
Then he has the
I get fired up in
audacity.
politics.
Oh, you ought to read the chat. You know, some
Okay.
JD has this metaphoric, pull the pin phrase. I don't know where he got it, but then he has the audacity to speak at the March for Life. Folks, the good news is we've got them in full retreat. I mean, they are scattering like roaches when you turn the lights on. They are angry. They are riled up. And
they're rabid. And because that was the first president ever to do that. Even Reagan, as pro-life as he was, even George W. Bush, as pro-life as he was, never attended that rally.
Yeah, they
we
said
were there,
things that Ronald...
He sent in a phone message over the speakers, but never attended that rally because they wanted to distance themselves from protesters or rabid anti-abortionists. So he's the first president to attend and speak at a rally. And we have some folks in our church who, I'm going to vote for that man, what he done. And it was said to me last week, I didn't elect a pastor.
I would not vote for him as a deacon in our church.
No, wouldn't either.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it.
CEO of our country? Oh, yeah. Doing a great job. Doing a great job. So that's what he's in for. And so we have a couple of folks, and I'm sure every church has them. Those folks need to pray about really what they're...
And we don't need to politicize. We don't need to politicize church. It's like babies are dying. Babies are dying.
Yeah.
Okay, while you're saying that.
That's what happened back in '73 when the church stuck its head in the sand because, again, then Roe v. Wade gets passed. But, oh, my gosh, how could they do that? Because the church, they were silent.
It's more than that. It's dereliction of duty. It's dereliction of
anyway,
duty.
So that'll be Thursday, so we'll watch for that. And then, so next weekend, of course, we'll be on next Tuesday, but that'll be the weekend before the Night to Shine. We got a lot of things coming up. And my schedule's getting full. It's fun. And I'm getting busy.
All right, Dale, I gotta go. There's a few things I want to share with the group here, but Dale, thank you for what you're doing. When you say Night to Shine, in your case it's KNIGHT. You're quite the knight, and shine those shoes, brother. You're doing a great job.
I will. I'll have plenty of spit.
All right, go for it, man. Folks, that was Dale Didway. We're well over on time, but since everybody's still here, let me just take a moment to share with you a few things. So much is happening. First of all, we today placed the order for the professional camera. The place where I had tried to order before, they were out of them, but I just monitored their website. That's on its way. That is just very humbling because that is the second largest purchase that we've made as a ministry. The building the studio here is the largest. God is just doing some amazing things. It's happening, and it's happening fast. I was awakened today. Today's my first day of recuperation is what I do today. I was awakened by my friend Mark Winchester, who has appeared on our program, and he called me because he wants or needs somebody to do some video work at an event that he's having at the barn that we built. I won't go into the long story there, but they're actually going to pay. And I am going to give them 10 times more than they're willing to pay for in return. He also said that we're going to start having a monthly worship service there. So I'm going to meet with Mark tomorrow. He's, of course, going to want to use the gear that is part of our Eagle's Nest studio. Doug Carter, if he's still with us, yes, he's actually seen and heard. And this was all done by design, folks. And I was going to work on the PJNET.TV website today. I did not get to do that. Folks, let me tell you that Sunbelt Girl is really doing a great job also. Do you realize that we are booked? We can't take anybody else until February 13th. That's how far booked in advance we are, and we're actually having to literally put the brakes on on recruiting new people to come on board. Now, let me talk about, since we're booked, let me remind you, many of you enjoyed Ron Gallagher when he was here not long ago. But he got kind of animated and kind of got the spirit going, and we ran out of time. He's the only one I've ever had to just barge in and say, I'm sorry, Ron, we're out of time. And mean it, So he has been gracious enough. He will be here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. to kind of tell the rest of the story that I kind of had to cut him off. So I hope you're looking forward to that. The amount of attention that the PJNet brand is starting to get on social media because of you all, reposting, liking. I want to encourage everybody to do that, but I want to ask you this, and Sunbelt Girl is probably the champion at this, but we can all become champions at this. If you will make a comment, if you'll like it, but then also make a comment on these posts out there that promote the PJNet brand, that makes it easier for others to like your comment. So now you can like the original post, and then you can like the comment, and this somewhere in the algorithm that brings that up to, floats it up to the top, has to be in there how many likes it's getting and how popular it is. So folks, I encourage you to, one, when you see a piece out there on social media, a post that promotes the PJNet brand, pile on with a like, and if you possibly can, challenge yourself to make a little comment, a sincere comment, so that others who may not quite be there yet, they can at least like your comment. You understand what I'm saying? It's teamwork. I'm a coach. That's what I do. So that's the challenge before the challenge. Here's my parting challenge. Ask yourself 2 questions. What is the boldest thing you've ever done for Christ? And then ask yourself, when was that? And the challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.